be over fast, where golf, walking from one, if it's a par 5, you've got a lot of time to beat yourself up.
Absolutely.
And then so let's say, and then here's another thing that I would think would happen. I think that in golf, like in other sports, if I tee off really well, whatever that, drive, and that is my strength, and I'm decent at the short game, but I start off doing well, and then all of a sudden, let's say I'm in the middle of the round, and that my driver fails. And then all of a sudden, I'm so ticked off about that the other part of my game falls apart. If you're having a bad day, if you're not doing what you normally do, how do you correct that? What are some simple things to do?
One of the things that a sports psychologist will help a player with is becoming aware of how do the negative thoughts come in and interfere with the play. And so first, they need to kind of be aware of, well, what are the kind of thoughts that I'm having? Is it ones where I'm beating myself up that, well, gosh, I'm never good at playing golf. I mean, if you're saying stuff like that, chances are you will not often play well. However, if you were to say, boy, that was an unlucky shot, and I'll hit it next time, I'll hit it accurately. And so what you do is you often teach the players how to shift it around to be able to let go of the past shots because, as they say, the least important play, regardless of whatever it is the one that just happened. And the most important one is what you're about to do.
Right.
And so how do you help them to let go of the past and be able to have some reinforcing kind of positive kind of self-talk that's going on to help build themselves back up.
Before it gets too late.
Before it gets too late. And it's at those times when the stress can have such a negative impact on the focus and attention, but it doesn't have to be where you're playing really bad. It can also happen if you're playing really well. Like I noticed for myself that if I'm just playing out of my mind on a particular round and having a really good day, and at some point about midway through the round, I start to start looking at that scorecard and thinking, wow, I could actually hit this score. And as soon as I start doing that, I get more focused on the score and the number of strokes that I have left in order to complete that, and it just takes me out of the moment. That really stress is all about past and the future. Either you're worrying about the past or you're worrying about that another shot that's coming up, maybe that water hazard on the next hole. Whereas ideally what you like to be able to do is focus right in the moment and be very mindful in that kind of way.
And then are there other things that you could, people talk about meditation, talk about visualization. Are there strategies before, like you said too, if like you're on the practice range, what can you do if I'm on the practice range knowing that, I may have a bad day at work or whatever, and then now I've got to go land. I'm going to work on the driving range. What can I do to sort of help me prepare for my match coming up?
Yes, there are a number of things. One of the first things to do is...
Hey, you'd make a good caddy.
Actually.
Hey,
caddies
you would make a great caddy.
Caddies are actually probably the best people at more of the kind of... the informal side of sports psychology. I mean, I don't think it's no small wonder that Tiger has been so successful because of his caddy. And his caddy, he's also an athlete, with the race cars, and so I think he is able to translate.
There's a bond, there's a trust. And
you got to absolutely believe in whatever feedback the person's giving you is an accurate piece of thing. On the practice tee, there are a number of things that you can do. One is, as most pros will suggest to you, you got to practice like you play. And I don't know how many times I've gone to a practice tee and seen a person using the same club and hitting that same club over and over again, and then they'll switch to a different club. How often do we actually do that on a round of golf? Typically we'll hit a driver, and then we'll hit like a middle iron, and then a short iron, and then a putter. So you're not hitting the same club over and over again. And so what you need to do is, hit like your driver, and then switch over, hit a mid-iron shot. And as you were talking about, the visualization comes in on the practice tee of, it's kind of boring to be on the practice tee and just hit shot after shot. And so what I often encourage golfers to do is to imagine that they're playing a particular hole at a favorite course. And so if it's like a par 3, where you're hitting over some water onto a small landing area, well, imagine how would you do that. And so you reach for the particular club, imagine about how far the distance will be, and then you try to pick up that spot and then hit and make it land as close as you can to it.
That's good,
Try to make it as realistic as possible because the practice tee does not look anything like the golf course. The other thing that's important on the practice tee, too, is to practice your pre-shot routine. And just like when you're about to make a serve in tennis or shoot a free throw in basketball, you need to execute that same thing each and every time, and ideally try to have it take the same amount of time too. Like if a person's about to shoot a free throw and they always take 3 bounces and then spin the ball to a particular location, that's all well and good, but if sometimes they're taking some slow bounces and then the next time they do 3 quick bounces, it doesn't really help that kind of way. And so you're really working on the rhythm and timing and just getting yourself settled in. And that's more what the pre-shot routine is doing, is helping you learn to get settled in so that you can make that easy shift from a narrow internal to a narrow external.
That's good.
At that point.
So when you're practicing, it's not about quantity. You shouldn't race through that. That really you should take your time for each shot and set up, and that's a part of a routine, because once that routine's broken,
you have
you're
to
either speeding it up or you're slowing it down. Something's going on, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And also talking about practice, one of the areas that has consistently been found is how valuable mental practice is. That if I were to even just imagine myself making a tennis serve, that in and of itself, even if I'm not hitting the hitting the ball in the tennis, that my skill will improve. And in fact, it's actually a significant advantage over doing nothing at all. And ideally, where people are getting the best benefit is both the physical practice and the mental practice. Right. And then those are consistently the groups that perform the best.
And then mental and physical definitely go hand in hand. That let's go to like tennis, because I know tennis very well. That if I'm going to take you have these different leagues, like levels, like a 3-0 would be kind of a starting out competitor, up to 4-5, which would be a competitor, a highly competitive person. If you put yourself in the wrong situation, if I only have these skills, but I put myself way ahead of what I'm supposed to do, it doesn't usually work out. It sounds good that I'm a 4-0 tennis player, but really I might just be almost a 3-5. That really backfires. Again, it's a process. If you stick with the process, 2-0, 3-0, up there, you think that works, that the stress can really come in when you get over your head. That's
right. Although what I get concerned about sometimes is people who have a huge fear of failure. There's 2 different situations where they tend to get attracted to. Okay, and this is kind of a weird idea. People who have a fear of failure, a lot of times they actually seek out opponents who are much better than they are. Because if they lose, well, they can say, that person's so much better than I was.
That's right.
And it's much like maybe say Valdosta State playing in UGA. Nobody really expects Valdosta State to beat UGA.
That's right.
And so they don't really lose face. But they also will seek out situations where they're so overly matched, so much better than their opponent. And so if we can help the athlete, figure out how can they be optimally challenged, and that is where the drive to success comes in at that point.
All right, so Kip, how can we get in touch with you? Because really, in addition to sports, you do corporate team building, you do personal, I guess, counseling.
Yes.
Where can we reach you? Where's your office?
Probably the best place to find me is we do have a website online, and that web address is www.akcconline.com. And there you'll be able to find information about me, some of my philosophy of doing counseling, my background in education, and there's also information about what's new coming up. And so there's a lot of information about what my colleagues and I are involved with. The location of my practice is right in downtown Athens, literally right across the street from the arch there at the university.
Oh, that's great.
And so it's really convenient to people who are familiar with downtown Athens. And, I'm not beyond, getting called out, to come to a business, if they want me to come and see them in action, and then I'll come and do that. Or different sport teams or players. I've been known to go outside the office.
Well, I would think that maybe it would help for you to go watch people perform.
Yes.
So you can offer a lot of services to a lot of people. In fact, we could probably have you on staff here at Athens Country Club. But anyway, thank you so much for your time. I know you're very busy, so if y'all want an appointment with Kip, you need to call him early, because you are in demand. It's a very good practice, and we're very lucky to have you in Athens, because I don't think there are very many sports psychologists here in town.
Yeah, not too many at all.
Yeah, so...